what are those levers that you're thinking about? What do you have at your disposal to pull to conserve cash, to minimize burn rate, to get through those like tougher times?
Yeah, so there's we're doing a number of things right now that are kind of obvious, right? Like you're checking your spending, you're canceling any sort of travel, you're looking at like office space and like little things that you can adjust to save a little bit of money. I think finance can have a much bigger impact by providing insights and value on top line growth and also on churn. So I think when you look at when you look at our business, we're able to save a lot more money by reducing churn by 1 percentage point rather than like doing an entire audit of every software that we use and trying to save 10% on software. We would save so much more cash if we could just affect churn a little bit, or if we could increase revenue a little bit. So being the helping out the organization with top line growth and churn and things like that, I think are much more valuable than finding little places to save money. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. You should definitely try to cut back where you can. Maybe push some headcount planning, but like maybe push new headcount back and things like that. But more than anything, top line and churn are what affect our business the most in cash. And so that's where I've tried to spend my time during this.
I want to dig in there just a little bit because that's really interesting. The idea of really trying to tackle churn as a problem, as like a lever to conserve cash. I really love that. But like, how have you been working with other teams to address that? Like, what kind of like planning or recommendations, or like, how are you actually starting to take action on that idea?
Yeah, so for example, right now at Trainual, our product team is testing a few things in the sign-up flow process. So when a customer goes online to sign up for our product, they're doing some A/B testing. And so our organization is helping them analyze the results and see which flow is going to result in a stickier, better customer. Nice. And so being able to help them analyze that on a weekly basis is one way that we're working right now. We're working with customer success to identify what makes our customers most successful, so that in their first month or second month of being our customer, what can customer success do to get them to value quicker so that they're less likely to churn in one of the first few months. So those are like two things that are going on right now that we're trying to solve. It's not perfect, but having somebody that can sort of sit in the middle and understand how each decision affects their department, I think will be valuable. We'll see.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Nice. And then Chris, let's go back to you on the like the levers. Like, how do you think about levers that you can pull to help conserve cash, to extend runway and that sort of thing at startups?
Yeah, similar to Virtuous, we recently raised, similar to Trainual, we recently raised money. So we feel comfortable for the foreseeable future. However, we're not listening to comfort. We are also doing what we can to accelerate cash collection, and that comes from two sources. One is current customers, and the other, which would be on the retention side, and then new customers. So a couple of things that I've done is I've gone in and made sure that I've looked at the upcoming renewals over the next 12 months, and I make sure that there's nothing out there pending, and make sure that we're staying ahead of it from a timing perspective so that we don't have a renewal pass and we don't get to take advantage of invoicing them on a timely basis. The other thing that we've done may seem counterintuitive, but we actually kind of threw out a promotion to prospects and said, hey, if you sign up in the next 30 or 60 days, we'll delay your payments 3 to 6 months. So that we don't need cash now, but we will get lump sum payments over the next 3 to 9 months. And hopefully we'll be able to acquire customers in a time that's kind of difficult for customers to be comfortable signing. But most of them feel comfortable that they'll have cash 3 to 6 months from now. And it enables them to do that. So we also have had a major push towards customers paying us annually or semi-annually or quarterly, but in larger chunks sooner. And by doing that, it significantly extends our runway. But like Drew said, the majority of our cash from here on out forever will come from renewals. And for that reason, it's a critical piece of our cash forecast is the renewal base.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah. I like that. Like, it just like considering like the churn piece, it doesn't seem super obvious when you're thinking about like the immediate reaction, like the knee jerk is, can we get out of our lease? Can we push back hiring? Can we like do these, like tangible things to stop spending money? But you're thinking about things in terms of how do we keep revenue coming in? How do we continue like that flow? How do we really like double down on renewals because that's easy and low cost? That's really interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I think that typically the expense side is kind of the easiest thing to control. It's easy for me to be within a couple % of my projected expenses month after month, just because we have total control over that. We have a lot less control over customers and their decisions, and so by doing this, we're helping incentivize them and helping them make certain decisions. But on the cost side, marketing in a growth stage company, there's a lot of money going out in marketing. It costs a lot of money for SEO and for acquiring leads. And so if you're wasting money and you're not watching your ROI on that spend, then you could end up in a bad place also. So like recently, I sat down with our director of marketing and we mapped out exactly what the value of a sales accepted lead was for us. And then we wanted to look at what is the value by lead source, because each lead source has a different value. And each lead source will provide a lead that has a different conversion rate that might have a different average selling price. And by identifying some of these basic things, we'll be able to watch this and see where we should be spending more money to get a larger return, which will in turn drive cash collection down the line. So we do have other smaller levers outside of retention and acquisition.
That's great. Drew, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say that Chris and I are both working for companies that are in a unique spot where we just raised money. And so cash is not an immediate concern. It's definitely not something that we're like just throwing around like crazy. But if you were to talk to finance people at other companies, they would be having a much tighter control on spend, and they'd probably be trying to get out of leases, and they may even have to fire some people. And so fortunately, we haven't been in that position at Trainual. But we have the luxury of this of a pretty decent balance sheet where we can then focus on maintaining growth or decreasing churn and things like that. So